Hey, what's up, folks? This is Jesse with Keeping It Real Finance, channel that always has your back and tells it like it is. Well, today's video is going to be your weekly Jasmy update. Now, this one, I just couldn't wait till Friday to post it with this pump that's been going on. There's been a ton of news. There is a lot to unpack in this video, and that's what I'm going to be doing for you, okay? So I got a lot of different things to cover, a lot of bullish sentiment here. It's just a really cool time to be a part of this project. Very grateful for that, and that's what I'm going to be sharing in today's video. All right, so if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit the like button. If this is your first time to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and if you click the bell, you'll be made aware whenever I post time-sensitive content just like this. And now let's get it going. All right, so I want to kick off today's video by first going back through Twitter. There were a few really big posts that have come up and have sort of been relevant recently that I want to talk about in this week's weekly recap. Now, I'd also say that, I have been doing these weekly recaps on Fridays. This week, obviously, with this massive pump that's going on, some of the additional news, I really just couldn't wait till Friday. So that's why I'm doing it on a Wednesday this week, right? So the first post I wanted to talk about, though, was this one that I did all the way back on April 3rd, where I said, Jasmy chart analysis, my thoughts. And I said, possibly we touch back at 0.025. RSI is saying oversold, though. Keep an eye on the support levels and the bottom trend line. So I basically noted that bottom trend line way back then, nearly 3 weeks ago. And that's exactly what we've done is we've managed to bounce off that bottom trend line. And currently we're in a pretty big rebound. So really awesome, right? Now, the other thing that's really relevant about this post was that I mentioned we were oversold. And that was all the way back then. So if you're looking at TradingView on the Jasmy chart, we basically have been in a oversold status all the way from about March 30th or so. So we've been oversold for like 3 weeks. So this one has just been building like a volcano under the surface, and then obviously it finally blew. So pretty awesome to finally see that. It's good when when your technical analysis comes through for you, because it doesn't always, right? Sometimes things happen, it doesn't always follow through, but in that case, it did. Now, here's something else I wanted to talk with everybody. My buddy Blake Berryhill, he has been hosting a weekly Jasmy call. I've been on it. Crypto Cracker, that's Learn Cryptology, he's been on there. Jasmania, we've got Dr. Shaw, Adwan, Captain Jasmy, bunch of big names in the space have all been on this call. And typically what we do is, we kind of talk about, our thoughts about Jasmy or what's ever been happening in the news lately. And then we take a lot of questions from anybody who's listening out there that simply wants to talk about it. So they've been very productive so far. We're looking to keep on doing those weekly. This past week, we did it on Easter Sunday. I'm on Eastern time zone, U.S. I'm based in Florida. And so that being said, I want to say it was maybe around 5:30 or 6:30 my time this past one. Before that, the week before, we did it on a Friday. That was a late night one, a little bit different. We try to accommodate people. Obviously we know there's Jasmy followers all over the world. And so anyway, the bottom line is if you got the opportunity to call in and listen to one of those Twitter spaces, highly recommend it. The group is growing significantly each week, and a lot of good information is shared. A lot of really good insights from the people on there. I learn a lot every time I listen. So just a big shout out there. All right. Now, moving up here a little bit further, let's see here. This one right here. So, again, going back to Blake, he had mentioned how he'd like to get one of these jerseys. So I had mentioned in my last video the sponsorship of Sagan Tosu and how they paid for it with Jasmy token. In the video, I said something along the lines of I thought it was a baseball team. Obviously, this is not a baseball team. This is their football, aka soccer team. So you can get this jersey. I will put a link to it in the video description. I do not get anything at all by sharing this link. It's simply just if you want to follow it and pick one up, it's up to you. I know Blake's been talking about getting one. I may get one as well because I think it's actually pretty neat. It's a really cool jersey. But the jersey itself, you can pay for it with Google Pay if you decide to pick one up. It is in yen because obviously it's Japanese. And I want to say when I looked at the exchange rate, it was roughly about $160 US is how this thing comes out. So if you want to pick up one of these jerseys, I will put that link in the description. And by all means, you can check that out. And you'd be supporting Jasmy along with Sagan Tosu. So that's pretty awesome, right? Now, moving up a little bit further, see here's some more posts talking about that same trend line. That was April 11th. Moving up even further, there's a lot that's been going on here. And by the way, it looks like some of these posts have been so popular lately that Twitter's trying to ghost ban me. I don't know why. Apparently, I don't know if it's just growing too fast or what the deal is. But anyway, a couple of these posts I wanted to touch back on. This one here where I mentioned just ran the math. SHIB has over 47 times the holders of Jasmy. And I said, founder of SHIB's anonymous. Well, Jasmy was founded by former Sony Japan execs. Just imagine if Jasmy landed Robinhood listing. So nothing at all against SHIB in that one. Just simply saying, look at the comparison of what we could do, right? Just so much potential here with Jasmy. Now, moving up even further, here was a good one for anybody who's wondering. It drives me crazy on CT when people post about how they just found this great coin and it's going to do 1,000x tomorrow, and maybe they'll share it with you down the road. Well, that's just not how I operate. I'm a lot more direct than that, and frankly, I don't care to do things that way. So that being said, here's my top three in case you want to know. We got Jasmy, PDEX, Cadena, all right? And moving forward here, going even further up, let's see here. Here's another reference to that latest call that we did with Blake. By the way, give Blake a follow if you're not following him yet on Twitter. A lot of good info. He catches a lot of things that I don't even catch. So really good between him and Crypto Cracker that's learned cryptology. He catches a lot of stuff too, especially in Etherscan. So here was a post here where I posted on April 16th where I said, that's weird, where we bounced right off that trend line. So just wanted to share that with y'all. That was pretty funny. Moving up, going up here. So here's another one. And this is something that I was trying to share on our last call. The call actually got cut off because it turned out that Blake's service went down. But this is exactly what I was trying to say when the call got cut off. And it's basically that numbers to put Jasmy in perspective. So the current Facebook market cap is $570 billion. As of 2021, they don't have the 2022 stat yet. It was $41 average revenue per user from the platform, okay? And then I made a note that I said sells user data without compensation. Something else too is I've heard this. I don't know if anybody else is aware of this, but on your iPhone now, all the apps ask you if you would like to allow tracking across sites. And basically everybody says no now for the most part, okay? Well, prior to them putting that question in there, apparently Facebook was making a ton of money off user data on that alone. So when Apple made that change, they've actually lost a significant amount of money because they simply asked that one question now. So really interesting. Now, going back to Jasmy here. So I mentioned at the time, this is April 18th, so this is a couple days ago, the Jasmy market cap was 90.5 million in comparison to Facebook at 570 billion, right? The Jasmy goal is for $500 average revenue per user. And with the personal data locker solution, data democratization Jasmy token, basically they want to compensate you for your data. That's the entire idea here. Whereas somebody like Facebook has just been making money off your data for years, right? So there was that. This post here where I referenced the team. Now, one of the guys here that Blake kept me honest on this one that's no longer on the team, and of course I took this from a white paper image, so that's why it's not exactly 100% up to date anymore, is Masanobu Yoshida. He is not on this anymore. He was the guy that was responsible for the Sony CLI PDA that I've talked about a couple of times. He is not directly involved, but he is directly involved with this Dream Forest. And what you find here in the Jasmy project is that a lot of these guys have side projects that end up linking back up with Jasmy at different times, and they have Sony ties, etc. So that's him. So really, in exchange for him, we have got Ken Mura that signed up with Jasmy out of Silicon Valley, and he is also former Sony. So he is not in this list, Ken Mura. But you can actually look him up on LinkedIn. He's kind of all over the place. And he's basically going to be in charge of the Jasmy US expansion. And like I said, he is there in Silicon Valley. So outside of him, we've still got Kunitake Ando. We've got Kazumatsu Sato. And we've got Hara right here, Hiroshi Harada, right? So they're all still in here. Now, moving up a little bit further. So, by the way, I do have on my Twitter, if you follow me on Twitter, I've got the direct link here for the jersey as well, but I'll also put it in the video description of the video. I had another post where I said, this was yesterday, towards the beginning of yesterday, I said, Jasmy's up 15% and still oversold. So crazy. So again, we should feel really good about that. And then this post I did just today here, where I said, if you zoom out the chart, this is what this epic pump looks like right now in the lifetime of Jasmy. It's not even a bump. Okay, there's nothing here, right? And so my entire point about this is, if you look at this image, it probably depends on the person, but this is sort of a glass half full or glass half empty kind of image. How do you see it, right? So you could look at this in a negative way and you could say, well, it looks like it spiked right away and then it went down. That's true. Or you could look at it in a positive way and you could say, hey, look at this. It's at the bottom. There's nowhere to go but up. Okay, that's kind of the point that I'm making here with this. There is nowhere to go but up. So when you think you missed the boat, you didn't miss the boat, right? I hear people a lot, especially on those calls. I've had a couple people emailing me lately that are trying to day trade it, and trying to make these gains. And I want to say from the calls, I think it's Dr. Shaw that's talked about this, that he's said it multiple times where he's like, look, why do you care about a 10 or 20% gain? I'm looking at 100x. And when you put it in perspective like that, you go, wow, 100x. And it's like, yeah, this really could do 100x. I mean, it's been floating around a penny, right? Why couldn't it do 100x? And I'm going to be talking about that in a second, all right? Now, also up here, I shared this one from today, and we'll be talking about this too. This was an interview that Hara just did, and it's a really good interview. So if you click it, if you're doing this through your Chrome browser, you can use the Google Translate and read the whole thing in English. There are some really awesome highlights from this, and I'll highlight that in a second, right? Now, moving over to CoinMarketCap. So on CoinMarketCap right now, looking at where we're at, currently 342, market cap is up 30%. I mean, holy cow, massive, right? Here's the real big number right here. Look at this, 24-hour volume. We are up 275%. So we have had massive volume over the last 24 hours. That's the kind of volume that tells you the FOMO is real, right? So when people start seeing it moving, that's when everybody tries to ape into it. And that's kind of, I think, what's going on there. Now, I was looking at the chart here. So this is Jasmy in relation to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the yellow line. Jasmy is the green line. And you can actually see it's pretty tightly correlated. This is something, that I've been talking about lately is the tight correlation here. Let me turn that off. And here you can see, obviously, big time volume is kind of picking up along with this. Some of the comments here are kind of funny and definitely, spot on. I mean, look at this one. When you look at the 1-year chart, it's so ridiculous how high this could go from Nick Carrero. I agree with you, Nick. It is absolutely ridiculous. Now, looking at the holders, this is something that I check pretty regularly here with Jasmy. And I've said it a lot. I'll keep saying it. My target number for holders for the end of this year is 40,000. If we can get near that or break it, I think that would be an excellent goal to achieve. Next year, if we could break 100,000, that would be even better. If we could go beyond that, hey, so be it. That would be amazing. Now, where you can really see the long-term trend here in Jasmy is look at the holders. Look at this. So, from where we started the year, I mean, we are up significantly. Currently, it says 24,791. This isn't quite updated. It's actually higher than that on Etherscan. I think it's over 28,000, or not 28, excuse me, over 25,000. So, significant amount of holders adding daily, holding the coin. Okay, so that's really important. Now, moving forward, so here's something that I want to share with everybody. So, obviously, this is TradingView, and this is the current Jasmy chart. Now, somebody had asked me in an email where I thought it could be between July or January. Here is just very generic projection, and that's only based off this current trading channel. That's it. That's all this is based off. So really the thing that matters here is the bottom trend line. Again, that's what matters. So by the end of the year, 057 should be the base, somewhere around there. Hopefully that's what we're shooting for. But we break through this, we break through some of these resistance levels, then this top line goes right out the window. And really what I want to highlight here, this is, I think, the most important thing here. So I told multiple people this yesterday, and I think this is true. So look at what Cardano did in 2021 in comparison to what Jasmy could do in 2022, 2023, right? So let's look at the Cardano chart. Let me see here. Let's go up. Where's my Cardano chart? Okay, ADA. Here we go. So Cardano, for the longest time, was in the pennies. It was in the pennies for quite a long time. And ultimately, it broke out of that significantly. Okay, so look at this. So here's the Cardano chart, right? And bear in mind that a lot of this directly aligns with Jasmy for where we're currently at in this current trend. Because again, everything's following Bitcoin. Totally get it. But so look at where Cardano was at for the longest time. It was kind of floating around, 3-4 cents, whatever, just kind of moseying along here. And then it absolutely exploded. And so it ultimately peaked at, what is this? This is 315-ish, looks like 316 or so. That's where Cardano peaked. A lot of that was all on promise, right? So Cardano, for the longest time, has not been fully live. They've been working on it. Just posting updates about it. Everybody really liked it. They thought, hey, this is the next big chain. And look at what Cardano did. So it went from all the way down there, like I said, around 3 cents or so, all the way up to 315. And so when you think about it, why couldn't Jasmy do the exact same thing? I don't see any reason why it couldn't. Now, I want to say when I looked at this that the total supply on Cardano was somewhere around, let's say, 45 billion, I want to say. Total supply on Jasmy is 50 billion. Very close, right? Now, is all that supply out? No. Is all the Jasmy supply out? No. In terms of the hype, though, and what could happen, well, Cardano, is it all over the place? Yeah, it is all over the place. Is Jasmy all over the place? Well, yeah, it is. And so you kind of see where this is going in terms of what it could do. I think this is the potential of Jasmy easily within the next year or so. I think it could do something like this. I really do. With Cardano, I remember way down here thinking, is it really going to do that? How could it do that? I kept thinking to myself, there's so many coins. I mean, how can it really go that high? And I think what I realized was that when the community wills it to happen, it will eventually happen. And the point is that the Jasmy community, the following, is very strong. There's a lot of people that really believe in this one. I mean, this is Japan's Bitcoin. There is a lot here. Just the idea of data democratization. You know, you go back to Facebook. Facebook's the best example of it. Just using your data. You know, they're using your data around the clock to have a $1 billion company. And are they compensating you for that data? Well, no, they're not. So that's kind of the difference here, is that Jasmy's saying, hey, we will compensate you for your data. But again, much of what Jasmy wants to do isn't even live yet. And so that's where I think we've got just massive, massive potential. And again, going back to Dr. Shaw on our calls, this is exactly what he's talking about. You know, why do you care about a 10 or 20% gain? You know, the day trading in and out. You know, there's been a lot of FUD with some of these day traders out there. You know, referring to a few of us as moon boys, whatever. You know, I really don't care whatever their angle is. One thing that I say on my channel is I'm just kind of a DCA guy. That's the way I do things. I'm never gonna, you know, force my trading strategy on anybody, or how I do anything, or how I look at anything. It's entirely up to you. Everybody has their own strategy, and that's fine. So, you know, whether you want to try and day trade it, hey, to each their own. I personally find that more stressful. I find that I'm not in control. You have to watch it nonstop. You know, if you've got a personal life that's active, like I do, I'm married, I've got a son, you know, I'm pretty busy in my personal life, so I just don't have time for that. So I DCA and I follow the long-term trends. That's what I do here. And that's why I think this one could definitely follow Cardano. Okay. Now, in this article here, so this is the interview with Hara. So in this article, you know, it's basically a full in-depth interview, and the big things I wanted to touch on, I actually took some screenshots of, and these are exactly from the article here from this WhoPro magazine. So this one right here I thought was really important. So it says, you've been the CFO of Jasmy since you joined the company. What kind of work are you currently involved in? And he says basically last year, and granted, there is a little language barrier here, but last year, the crypto asset Jasmy was listed on 28 exchanges in Japan and overseas. And as of the end of March of this year, it was listed on 8 more exchanges. I mean, that is just crazy. This is why they've had to supply so much liquidity. In terms of getting that coin out there. You know, when the chart was trending down, it was because they were supplying liquidity. It is because of all of these exchange listings. I have never, ever seen another crypto project do this many exchanges that fast. Just absolutely crazy. And he says, you know, almost all of the world's top 10 exchanges are now listed, which is a unique pace for Japanese companies. That's 100% true. So since the distribution volume of crypto assets is important, we promoted listing on many exchanges, but we routinely negotiate listing, promotion, and marketing with crypto asset exchanges increase. Okay, so there was that. Now, the other thing that came out here was this nugget here, which I'll share with everybody. So it says, what do you want to do as Jasmy's CFO in the future? Now, really what I want to focus on here is these second and third paragraph. So he says, thanks to you, the number of companies that can sympathize with this idea is increasing, but the individual users who use it do not yet have an environment where they can realize how much their data is worth. That's critical, right? Now, he says, through the construction of the economic zone of our platform, so through that construction, so we're not even there yet, right? We would like to encourage people to experience the convenience of freely exchanging personal information and to realize how much value their data will generate, all right? Awesome. That is a drop the mic paragraph. That's exactly what Jasmy is about right there. And it tells you where they're at. It says, hey, we are really early in this, right? Now, then he says, we also want to expand awareness of crypto assets. It is said that only 5% of the population in Japan has cryptocurrency. So obviously that is one of their main goals here. Okay. So Super bullish on that. Great article, by the way, by WhoPro Magazine. Highly recommend you check this out. You can find a link to it through Hara's Twitter page, as well as I think I retweeted it also. So very good article there. Next, moving along here to Etherscan. So I'm not going to go too far in depth here because I think that Learn Cryptology, Crypto Cracker, he did a real good job on this in terms of what's going on with some of these wallets. Basically, what a lot of people have been highlighting, I think Jazzmania on Twitter highlighted this too, is some of these wallets are just getting bigger, like Binance. There is a lot of volume that's going on in this one, so the wallet's just getting bigger. In terms of the 500 million token wallets, currently there's 20 of those. In terms of the 400 millions, there's 9, but there's this one here that's 494. Moving on, we got the 300 token wallets, etc. So not really anything too concerning here. The big thing here, I would say, is the holders just keep going up. That is the most critical item here for Jasmy, right? Now, lastly, I wanted to touch on this. And basically, you can just follow the link there through Etherscan. It takes you here. This is kind of cool. So you can see their actual building where they work right here in Tokyo. Here's the building. They're on the 5th floor. So it's the Aoyama building, 5th floor. I actually looked it up on Google. Looks like a pretty nice spot. That's where they are headquartered. But just kind of neat to, look around the map here and see exactly what they're next to. They're actually really close to a very large sports complex right here. And then also, I think it was somewhere, right here, Honda Welcome Plaza. There's some interesting ties here that are kind of right next door to them that you wonder what they could do with those relationships, right? There's been a lot of talk about Jasmy with Toyota in particular. So who knows what could happen there? Really interesting. Okay. Now, moving down a little bit further, here's the that current management structure. As I had mentioned earlier, the image that I had previously posted was a little bit outdated. This is the current structure here, as well as there's some additional individuals that are part of the team that are on here if you just scroll a little bit further down. Okay. So that is pretty much it for this Jasmy video. We've got a lot in here. There is a lot to unpack. Hopefully it all kind of made sense to you, but I'm going to wrap this one up here with some final thoughts, right? Here at the Keeping It Real Finance channel, we need your support. All of the content on this channel is entirely organic, meaning we did the video on a topic that we simply like, or we did it because of a request from one of you, our viewers. So that being said, if you enjoyed today's video and would like to support the channel, there are multiple ways you can do that to help us to continue to create and level up our content. Our affiliate links will be available in the video description to cover platforms we endorse and use ourselves. Support the channel today and earn sign-up bonuses along the way. We also have a merch shop available with links below the video or directly by visiting kirfinance.myspreadshop.com, where we offer tons of great designs and product options. We've got everyone in the family covered. Help support us by picking up merch and sharing your photo on social media. We may even send you an NFT. Speaking of NFTs, at OpenSea.io we have our NFT series, The Liberty or Death Crossroads, available now. Pick one up today and enjoy special upcoming perks and exclusive content with our planned upcoming courses, Patreon, and Discord group. If you're a reader and simply looking to step up your game in personal finance, I also wrote a book in 2015 titled Driving Through Potholes: Financial Strategy and Life Lessons for Those Looking to Rediscover the American Dream. The book is available now at Amazon in Kindle and paperback. And lastly, if you'd simply like one-on-one consulting, feel free to reach out anytime at keepingitrealsince1982@gmail.com. We greatly appreciate your support today, and now let's get back to the video. All right, so let's wrap up today's video with some final thoughts. So first of all, the number one thing that's happening right now is this latest pump. Obviously a very good thing. I was very pleased to see us bump off that bottom trend line. We'll see where it goes from here. I think there's a lot of FOMO maybe that happens with Jasmy, because there's a lot of people on the sidelines of this one kind of waiting, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shoot, it starts moving and everybody wants to get in, right? You can kind of see that in the volume going up almost 300% within 24 hours. So massive, massive volume right now, a lot of buying happening. It's a great time to be in Jasmy. As I showed in my Twitter post, if you zoom out, this daily price action, even in the pump, really doesn't matter. Okay, we are really early in this project. There's still a long way to go, but there is so much potential. And I just kind of keep having that Cardano thing nagging in the back of my brain on this one, because it really reminds me a lot of that a lot of Cardano moved on promise of what it could be, what could happen. You get enough people that believe in it and they say, you know what, this does look like a really good project. I want to be a part of that. And that's kind of how Jasmy is. There's a lot of people that have seen it and say, this does make a lot of sense. Especially when you throw out those Facebook numbers of how much they make on user data. Now, obviously, the key thing here is going to be, well, how many users can Jasmy get? Well, the sky's the limit. Obviously, they're starting first with Japan and Asia, but they've also got Canva there in Silicon Valley. So who knows how far this thing could really go? I mean, it's to be determined, For people who don't really know the project very well, it was founded in 2016. So I want to say it was April 15th, something like that, when it was founded. You can find that from the Etherscan link on it. And basically, we just hit the 6-year anniversary like a week ago, okay? So they've been working on this thing for 6 years now, and we're still not in the full-on economic phase like Hara mentioned in his interview. So we've still got a long way to go. But like I said multiple times in this video, and I'll say it once more, like my friend Dr. Shaw said, why would you care about a 10 to 20% gain if you can get a 100x, a 200x? That's what is possible here with Jasmy. So there's just a lot of prospective growth here that could definitely move this thing way, way up. So what I try to follow, most importantly, the bottom trend line. Can we hold the bottom trend line and keep moving up from there? That's important, right? And then, where are we at in terms of oversold, overbought, right? We've been oversold for almost the entire month of April up until yesterday. we were oversold the entire time. So I've been watching this daily thinking, all right, we got to move, we just haven't moved. Okay, well, finally we're moving, right? So really positive. Now, in regards to that Sagan Tosu sponsorship, how they paid for the sponsorship in Jasmy token, I mentioned that in last week's video. Well, now if you want to pick up that jersey with the Jasmy logo on it, like I said, it's roughly about 160 bucks. You can do it through Google Pay and pick it up if you'd like. I know some of the members of our group have been looking at it. I want to get one as well. Really cool. So I'll probably be picking one of those up. Going back to the group, if you are on Twitter, if you're not yet on Twitter, I highly recommend you listen in on one of those Twitter spaces. If you really don't know what I'm talking about, it's kind of like if you think about it in a digital sense, it's like one big room that it's going to have a couple hosts. It may have, let's say, 10 speakers. All of us kind of, give thoughts at different points on what's happening with the project or what's happening with the latest news. And then we just kind of take questions from anybody who's listening. And there's a lot of people that always have questions, good insights, things to add. And so it's pretty positive overall. So definitely check out that group and join in if you can. Last time, I think we had probably around 150 or so people on it. A lot of big-time influencers in the Jasmy space are in those groups, so definitely check that out, all right? So wrapping up everything here, another bullish week. We finally broke out a little bit. However you want to trade this is entirely up to you. You can play the day trade route. If that's your bag, go ahead, do it that way. I don't care. I am a DCA guy. I just kind of buy steadily over time because I don't have the time to watch it all the time. I'm nearly 40 years old. You know, I'm a dad. I have to make dinner for my family. And so I am not watching it all the time like a hawk on things like that. I'm just investing long-term. I look at long-term trends, okay? So hopefully that's what we did here. You know, what I really tried to do on this channel is simply identify opportunities, and then it's up to you if you want to take advantage or not. If you don't, maybe you missed the boat. But in this case, I don't think anyone has missed the boat yet. We are all very, very early, all right? So that's it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit the like button. Don't forget that I am also on Twitter at KIR Finance, where you can find me tweeting and retweeting. Check me out there, even if Twitter's trying to ghost ban me because my tweets are getting too popular. Whatever. And lastly, for a friendly reminder, this is Jesse with Keeping It Real Finance channel. And always says, you're back. Tell us it like it is, and I will see you on the next one. Later.